One of the surprises that this World Cup has given us so far is the fact that Türkiye are already out of the tournament after suffering back-to-back losses. But have a look, they did make it a go at goals, 62 shots at goal in their games against Australia and Paraguay, but not a single goal
That's like my goal
to
record,
show for it.
That is my goal record.
Not very efficient, not very effective.
Not the most efficient in front of goal, quite like Ale Moreno as well as our Nedum. So let's bring in somebody who can be efficient in front of goal. İlkay Gündoğan joining us for this one. Now, İlkay, we know, of course, that you did suit up for Germany, but we know your heart definitely has ties back to Türkiye. Just how crazy is that stat and how shocking is it that they're already out?
It's a big upset. It's very frustrating. I think Turkey has started the World Cup, even on their way to the World Cup, with big hopes, with big enthusiasm. Obviously, Turkey is a country that is in love with the game of football. So you can just imagine, how disappointed and how sad it is for Turkey to just get knocked out so early.
Yeah, it is quite a surprise, especially when you look at some of the players that they have, especially somebody who's quite special and highly rated as an Arda Güler.
Yeah, for sure, and you can mention him, but just looking at those stats there, those are the stats of a team that's clearly won their group already. To have 74% possession, to have the expected goals at that number, shots on goal, touches in the opponent's box. But I think in some ways, this is the reminder of what football can be like. The final stage is the most important stage, which is why short, stocky strikers and stuff sometimes, they're of really, really high value. Not whoever your friend is.
Yeah.
But that is shocking because I myself, and I'm sure lots of others thought, going into the last group game, it would be the US men's national team versus Türkiye to essentially see who would finish top of that group. But instead, it's a massive failure. And I think from the Türkiye perspective, and unless I'm mistaken, and maybe İlkay could tell me, Türkiye don't qualify for all these World Cups every 4 years. So for them to wait as long as they have done, I think it might have been 98 last time they were at one.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee they'll be back here again for a long time as well.
Yeah, okay. What did you make of what Nedum had to say?
Yeah, I agree completely, to be honest. I mean, just the fact that Turkey was able to qualify for the World Cup after 24 years just shows, how hungry the people were, and how much they had to starve. And on the opposite, how excited they were, for this World Cup. And especially, having the first couple of games where you were thinking, okay, of course, every World Cup has its difficult opponents, but having two games, where you could actually have a good start in the tournament and not being able, to just score one and lose both games and get knocked out when you know that even some of the best third spots, still qualify for the next round. Is, as I said in the beginning, a huge upset and a big disappointment for the whole.
Yeah, big disappointment indeed, especially because in that game, Paraguay went down to 10 men because Miguel Almirón picked up a red card for covering his mouth when he was speaking to an opponent. Now, we did talk about how this is, of course, a new rule, and this is the first time that a player has been sent off for doing so. İlkay, this is a new rule that kind of has divided opinion. Where do you stand on it? What did you think of it?
I'm still not so sure about the rule, to be honest. It's still something that we need to get used to. Obviously, if it's in an offensive way towards your opponent or in a disrespectful way what you are saying, then of course it's 100% understandable. But unfortunately, you never know, what the opponent's player is saying, to the player. At least us from outside, we will never know. So I don't know what the intention was behind it. But rules are made to be followed with, and that's why this rule was made. So at the end, the player has to live with the consequences, no matter what we from outside are thinking about it.
So, okay, we're having a discussion there around the rule itself, but if I was to say, put you in a position to where you were the captain of a player that's been sent off for that, would you have the same sympathy, or would it be more a case of saying that to the player that you should have done better?
I would be really mad, to be honest, that as a teammate, I would felt, left alone a little bit. But on the other side, because it's such a new rule, I think it's something that as a player, you need to get used to still, I mean, even myself, when I remember me playing or when I remember games of myself, I've done it, I've done it in the past, and not in a disrespectful, just to have a conversation, because I didn't want the cameras maybe to catch what I'm saying. And sometimes it's not just joking around. Sometimes you speak about other things, but it's not something bad, actually. I've done that in my career so far, and I think it's a little bit also in our human nature that we might forget about specifically this rule, especially in the beginning. So it didn't look like it was a very bad intention from the player, from at least what I've seen. But the reaction of the Turkish player, obviously, on the opposite, speaks maybe a different language. But that's the problem that we have a little bit. It's something we will never know. We will never 100% probably also agree about that rule. But as a player, at the end of the day, you must know that this rule exists now, and you have to follow it.
And players would have been informed of this rule ahead of the tournament. When there are changes and modifications to certain things going into a tournament, you are informed. You participate in a meeting and they tell you, hey, these are the things that we're looking to enforce, and this rule would have been one of those things that would have been informed to the players. And how do I know that? I didn't have to be in the meeting to know this. You just have to know what the Turkish player did, because he knew the rule, and he was quick to snitch. He was quick to say, hey, this guy was covering his mouth. This guy was covering his mouth.
Yep.
So he knew the rule, and if it is the responsibility of the Turkish player to know the rule, it's also the responsibility of Miguel Almirón to know the rule. It's on him to do it, and once you break the rules, then you are vulnerable. Red card, he gone.